What's dangerous is when the universe pick you and you put on the magic glasses. There's rules that go with them. You can never take them off. You never see things as they're supposed to be. You see things as they are. And you can never force nobody else to wear them. So I read all the papers, not because I trust none of them, to look for the crack in the fabric. You think a mighty nation like this would have the Washington Post and the New York Times and don't have CIA agents and FBI agents on? You think the evening news ain't got agents on there that we grew up with? We think they, it's the game they play.
Were you always a questioner? Did you always question us?
No. Why would I? Shit, I like bubble gum and tutti frutti.
Michael Jackson. I mean, you knew him. It seems like he needed that fix, that money. It was never enough.
It wasn't money. It wasn't about money. He didn't have no childhood. See, y'all always be trying to talk about shit you don't know. He didn't have a fucking childhood. Huh? All right? He had all the money he wanted, all the fame he wanted. Huh? But he never bounced the ball. Huh? So y'all gonna sit there and talk about somebody you ain't never talked to him. Huh? Michael Jackson, huh? A child. His mind was a child. Became one of the most powerful human beings in the world, and they killed him. And when they killed him, just simple mathematics. He's getting ready to do the big show in London 50 times. God can't work one city 50 times. What made you think he could? And that childness in him, it never dawned on him. So he's insured. This is your show. So the insurance is on you, not the rest of the people. So they had him insured for $1.5 billion. So when they killed him, you mean the Lords of London didn't see them holes in his arm? Lords of London, $1.5 billion, and they didn't see these holes? You know? Michael was killed at 2 o'clock in the morning from a laser.
Also, I had to find, one time they wanted me to find out if there was such a thing as a poison that was undetectable, especially one that seemed to mimic a heart attack, that would kill someone, but it would appear that they had a heart attack. I did find such a thing.
Does this pistol fire the dart?
Yes, it does, Mr. Chairman, and a special one was developed which potentially would be able to enter the target without perception.
The poison was frozen into some sort of dart, and then it was shot at very high speed into the person. So when it reached the person, it would melt inside them, and the only thing would be like one little tiny red dot on their body, which was hard to detect. There wouldn't be a needle left or anything like that in the person.
But also the toxin itself would not appear in the autopsy?
Yes, so that there was no way of perceiving that the target was him.
Have you brought with you some of those devices which would have enabled the CIA to use this poison for?
We have indeed.
For killing people?
The round thing at the top is obviously the sight. It works by electricity. There's a battery in the handle, and it fires a small dart.
And the dart itself, when it strikes the target, does the target know that he's been hit and about to die?
A special one was developed which potentially would be able to enter the target without perception.
As a murder instrument, that's about as efficient as you can get, isn't it?
It is a weapon, a very serious weapon.
What's the police chief? He's not police chief of New York. Bratton? Whatever his name is.
I was thinking Gates, but that's before.
No. And then 4 days later, they go into the house and find this bloody shirt of Michael's, and then understand it's like $450,000 worth of jewelry and cash missing. So white boy said, we got to get rid of you, but we'll ease you out. So then he comes and he works in Virginia, which is called the CIA, and now he's the police chief of New York, a fucking criminal, gangster. That's what it's about.
Well, I thought it was because of the Sony thing. They wanted I believe there was some.
But that's because you don't have the information.
Okay.
Huh?
Okay.
I said he was killed by a laser. Huh? I just told you it was a bloody shirt and the money. Just public. All you got to do is go look it up.
Also, I had to find, one time they wanted me to find out if there was such a thing as a poison that was undetectable, especially one that seemed to mimic a heart attack, that would kill someone, but it would appear that they had a heart attack. I did find such a thing.
Does this pistol fire the dart?
Yes, it does, Mr. Chairman, and a special one was developed which potentially would be able to enter the target without perception.
The poison was frozen into some sort of dart, and then it was shot at very high speed into the person, so when it reached the person it would melt inside them, and the only thing would be like one little tiny red dot on their body, which was hard to detect. There wouldn't be a needle left or anything like that in the person.
But also the toxin itself would not appear in the autopsy?
Yes, so that there was no way of perceiving that the target was hit.
For many years I didn't even tell my friends I worked for CIA because I was embarrassed. It's colored my life. It always will. It's like a shadow that falls over my life all the time. I still, if I say anything against them, I turn around wondering if I'm being followed. I never even thought of joining the CIA. First of all, I thought I probably couldn't get in because it was considered the Cadillac of government agencies, and they mostly hired from Ivy League colleges, and I was just out of high school, went right to work for Veterans Administration. And actually, it was the typewriter repairman came in to repair my typewriter one day, and he said, you know, you shouldn't be working here. You should be working at a nicer place. They test you a lot. Huge testing. I mean, when you're put into this personnel pool, there are probably 2 or 3 weeks of tests where it's all day long, every single day. And there are IQ tests, there are personality tests. The questions that bothered me the most was when I took the polygraph test. And in the polygraph test, they ask you such incredibly personal questions. For instance, they asked me if I was a virgin. And I was 18. And I thought, what business is it of theirs whether I am or not? And I was rather embarrassed to tell them that I was, because I don't think any of my girlfriends were. I was raised very strict. There were very few women at CIA who were other than secretaries. It was very sexist. It was the male establishment, the white male establishment. I asked a couple of times why it was that there were no blacks there and why there were no gay people there, although they didn't call them gays in that time. In those days, I think they called them queers in those days. And they said because homosexuals could not be cleared because they could be blackmailed. They said that blacks couldn't be cleared because blacks just weren't, they were just still too primitive. They just weren't usually smart enough. And they didn't have the kind of background that white people had. I mean, I didn't think that much at the time because it was like sort of standard operating procedure. But when I think about it now, I'm really quite shocked how you probably would never get a job if you were black. I was assigned as a secretary in the audio surveillance division. They were experts on listening devices and hidden microphones and that sort of thing. I did also very often help the operatives get the documents that they needed. Once in a while, I'd have to make a quick trip to the State Department to pick up their passports. And sometimes, if we couldn't get the passports in time, then I'd have to go over to Graphic Arts Reproduction Division so that they could forge one for them. Most of them were artists in there, but they were recruited from prisons because they were forgers, and they were master forgers. They were people who knew how to forge money, and they forged all kinds of things. That's how they made their living. And so the FBI would arrest them, and then the CIA would come and spring them. Then I went to technical services, where I was in charge of finding documents that you don't find in libraries, like where you put explosives on a bridge. Where's the best place to put an explosive on a bridge, and what kind of explosive do you have to get that goes underwater without it, destroying its effectiveness. Also, I had to find, one time they wanted me to find out if there was such a thing as a poison that was undetectable, especially one that seemed to mimic a heart attack, that would kill someone, but it would appear that they had a heart attack. I did find such a thing.
Does this pistol fire the dart?
Yes, it does, Mr. Chairman, and a special one was developed which potentially would be able to enter the target without perception.
The poison was frozen into some sort of dart, and then it was shot at very high speed into the person, so when it reached the person, it would melt inside them, and the only thing would be like one little tiny red dot on their body, which was hard to detect. There wouldn't be a needle left or anything like that in the person.
Have you brought with you some of those devices which would have enabled the CIA to use this poison for?
We have indeed.
For killing people?
The round thing at the top is obviously the sight. It works by electricity. There's a battery in the handle, and it fires a small dart.
And the dart itself, when it strikes the target, does the target know that he's been hit and about to die?
A special one was developed which potentially would be able to enter the target without perception.
As a murder instrument, that's about as efficient as you can get, isn't it?
It is a weapon, a very serious weapon.
But also the toxin itself would not appear in the autopsy?
Yes, so that there was no way of perceiving that the target was hit.
I think the first time that I seriously questioned anything that was more than, I just couldn't take it anymore, was when I came across this document. It was eyes only, and it was to my boss, but he only had one hand and a hook in the other hand, so I always opened all of his mail and his packages and so forth. And this one, he wasn't in the office. I opened it and I read it. It said eyes only. I wanted to read it because I wasn't supposed to, probably. And it was a report about a mission where they had blown up a bridge in Asia somewhere, and they had killed a number of women and children who were on their way to market that morning. It was reported as though they were really proud, mission accomplished. That one bothered me a lot. When my boss came in, I gave him his mail and I mentioned this, and I said, "This is wrong. These women hadn't done anything. These children didn't deserve to die. Why did we do that?" And he said, that's the fortunes of war. And I said, "But we're not at war. We're certainly not at war in that country. Why did we do that? I don't understand it." And he said, "Well, you're very young. When you get older, you'll understand those things." I think probably all of us became addicted to the danger, to the intrigue. It was living a fantasy. It was actually living a fantasy and being on the inside. And it was very hard to leave, even though I felt that they did wrong, and I would never, ever work for an agency like that now, because I realized that it wasn't because I was a child or I was so young. It was because it was wrong. But at the time, it was really exciting. After that, there was no other job I could have ever again in my life that would be that exciting. I knew that.
Huh? I didn't come here to find out what you think.
No, I'm just asking.
No, you didn't. You say you thought. I'm not interviewing you. You interviewing me. I don't want to hear it.
Okay.
Huh? But you go do it. I respect who you gonna be. So don't sit here and tell me you thought it was the Sony thing. Huh?
Okay.
What was the Sony thing about? Tell my grandmother.
Well, my understanding was that he was going to get the Beatles catalog. And
He already had it. Huh?
Okay.
He bought the Beatles catalog when his people told him don't buy it. He bought it for $48 million. When they killed him, it was worth $2.5 billion. Huh? Huh? Stuff go on in your house I don't know nothing about. There's a persona out there I don't know nothing about. But when we sitting here with respect for one, I don't want to hear what you thought. I saw the check, nigga. Huh? So I got to sit here and what you thought. Who cares? Huh? That's all I'm saying.
I understand.
And then what they didn't know when they came out with the will, his 3 children's name was misspelled. Huh?
So it's
The day he was supposed to have signed it,
So it's a fake will.
it's a fake will. Huh? That's what I'm saying. Okay? That's all. And so if I was over there and they said, well, what role did Sony play? Oh, you didn't say that. I thought I'm not here because of what you think. Huh?
Okay.
Did Sony have anything? Huh? That's
Okay, I'll ask
no.
better.
You don't have to ask that. I don't care.
No, I'll phrase better with the.
No, I'm saying it's already. You already said it,
Okay.
huh? And you ain't gonna stop that overnight. And I don't want you to stop it overnight, huh? There's people listening to me that's cleansed when you said what you said, huh? Cause we know, huh? I know what it's about. Not about Sony. He already had it. Already had it. Okay? And so what happened is, when they killed him, them white boys that came in and convinced everybody that Michael had went back with them. Michael had gone back with them. Okay? And so the will said that anybody on this will protested, if you lose, you cut out. That's why Mama, we don't even know where she getting groceries from now. She was cut out after. Now, just go back to the one thing. Lords of London got me insured for $1 billion. That means they give me all kind of checks and they didn't see the holes. Now here's how clever they are. You and the brother, there's first responders. You get there at 10 o'clock. He's out. You don't know he's dead because the call just come in. So you trying to get a vein. You don't know he's been dead since 2 o'clock. So now they tried everything. Now they go get the different chemicals I can put in. That's where the needle holes came from. Huh? That's how clever they are. The folks that's doing it don't know it. They're just trying to bring them out. Got needle in there. Sure, they got needle holes. But that's where they came from. Huh? That's where they came from. Okay? And the old punk doctor, he know nothing about it. When he's on the 911, they say, what's the address? I don't know. He didn't know the address. Huh? This is a game. The most powerful human being on the planet, entertainer. Huh? They say he ain't lost his license. He's still practicing that. It's a game.
So something fishy there. I think I smell smoke.
Yep.
I think I smell
Something like smoke.
Something like smoke.
When Tupac was killed, well, I know something. The mob don't go there and have a shootout in the front lounge. Would make you think black folks could. And who was in the car with him? Quincy Jones, his daughter.
What she was? Okay.
How I know that New York Times don't know it? How I know that he'd been attempted to be killed so many times, the car is bulletproof. So you had to shoot the bulletproof car to get him in the head. He was shot in the car. what this was about. That's what this was about. Shot in the car. Of course, he had nerve enough to write some shit in the record.
Yep.